and guess who it is? It's a rifleman. Well, I have an alternate backup in case he gets injured. He won't do that. Man out 2 guns, crew. 6 men on 2 guns.
Old Fort Niagara on the bicentennial morning. Beautiful day. Monstrous tent for the dinner tonight. Let this event in general go by without getting on video this room and these ladies
Being presented with
who you can see where they've beaten their brains against the walls. There are stains everywhere. Oh, Ginger, yes, yes. Is it tangled, Ginger, or is it straightened out?
Well,
No, it's straight.
then I think I better give you something else.
Pretty
Hang on.
straight.
Well, I might as well open up with a shot over here.
Blue Water Dish to an old Scottish song called Catwood. It was a great honor for us to perform in Scotland and in England. The medley that we're going to do now is called Covent Grove. Covent Grove is a part of Scotland that the Scottish regiments historically have left from. When they come over to the colonies back 200 years ago. It also includes a drinking song, a Scottish drinking song called Johnny Scoble. It ends with another regimental march of the Flag Watch, Oh Hey the 47, or We're Gonna Fight for Time.
A grasshopper. But then he didn't
You will also
notice
be ending this
that he
medley
was
with
there, and he did.
looks like a likely couple. Well, hello there. Could you two answer?
did my hair.
Welcome to our neighborhood.
Thank you. Could you answer a question for me, please?
Sure.
Will there be someone for the archaeology tonight at dinner, or is everything going to be closed?
No, we'll be closed just before dinner.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so nice to get you on tape.
Thank you very much.
Dennis, you're supposed to have all of Brant say hi, Candy.
Hi, Candy!
Hi, guys. Hi, ladies. Okay. That's wonderful, Dennis. You wear it well. You do. You do wear it well. Oh, you look so good.
No wig today, though. That was too much. So,
I've got to get you. Everybody wave. Ah, yes. 5 books. All right. I'm in the South Redoubt. Bet you didn't think I'd get here. I thought this was sort of interesting when I walked up the stairs. Somebody's hair. The tent from up above. Concerts going on right now. The dais. Various members of the 5th. Can't find Brian. 1st Michigan. Good group of people. Grants was down there that I said hello to. Aha! The National Guard or the Army is rolling in. The Howitzer Boys. Bells and whistles, here we come.
Me in my garage last night making parts for a breach.
Oh, it's a breach. I'm thinking, oh, I didn't know. I thought maybe it was the recoil mechanism or something. You're okay at this?
We're actually part of it.
We already were in. We're in the first banner, flyby. Last I heard from Neil, there were 4 cycle 30.
There's C-130. We were wondering what they were going to be. Last question.
No.
The drill routine has evolved over the years. However, the one thing that remains the same is the line formation. Pay particular attention to the domino effect created by the quick reflexes of each individual team member.
end of the formation, and when everything comes to rest, you should find your left on that. Yeah. We don't know how far the formation is. The color for the color code. Coordinating 2 centuries and 3 armies. I'll give the command. How about face?
Do you think he got that because of his height or his talent?
I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Old Fort Niagara. This is a very important bicentennial observation for this historic site, as well as for Fort George on the opposite side of the Niagara River. 200 years ago, on these dates, the first contingent of United States troops arrived at Fort Niagara, took possession peacefully from the British garrison that had held it up to that time, who then retired to the opposite side of the river where they began the construction of Fort George. We have 3 modern nations participating in this celebration today, represented by the 3 modern flags that are currently flying from our flagpole, the flags of the United States of America, of Great Britain, and of Canada. We are going to begin our program by marching on a series of military units that in some degree tell a little of the story of how Fort Niagara became a United States military post. And we will begin with the 1st Michigan Colonial Fife and Drum Corps that has come to us from the state of Michigan. They are dressed in the uniforms that are indicative of the beginnings of the United States Army during the years for the War of Independence, fought between 1775 and 1783. The United States won its war for independence, and by the Treaty of Paris in 1783, a boundary line was established, essentially through the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River, very much following the modern boundary between the United States and Canada. But for a number of reasons, the treaty provisions were not fulfilled, and British troops remained in garrison in Fort Niagara and a number of other Great Lakes forts for another 13 years. Our second detachment represents the British 5th Regiment of Foot that served as the final British garrison of Fort Niagara and was holding the post here in 1796.
Suffered some defeats in the Ohio country and their war against the Indians in that part of North America. Had been reconstituted under General Anthony Wayne and fought and won the Battle of Fallen Timbers in 1794, helping to pave the way for the takeover of the fort from the Great Lakes. Program today is also involving the modern military forces of the United States, Great Britain, and Canada. The first component will be representing the United States. Directing the troops on the field is Mr. Dennis Farmer of the Old Fort. Flags will be lowered in order, beginning with Canadian flags, followed by the flag of Great Britain, and the traditional bugle call, the last post, to commemorate the many British, Canadian,
Brian Lee Dunnigan, the extraordinary executive director, who this year concludes his 17 years of service. It's been an extraordinary tour, success following success, and I will conclude my remarks with our heartfelt thanks to Brian for all that he has done for heritage tourism and cultural education in this part of the state, and particularly for this wonderful site. And I will read a citation from Commissioner Castro. If Brian, you'll please come forward to receive it. In appreciation of his 17 years of leadership as Executive Director of the Old Fort Niagara Association and significance of the fort, this certificate of merit is conferred upon Brian Lee Dunnigan, signed Bernadette Castro, August 10th, 1996. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. What a beautiful day. I bring you greetings from Governor Pataki and would like to read to you a proclamation from the governor. On behalf of the Empire State, it is a great pleasure to offer greetings on the occasion of the bicentennial salute to the fort's festivities at Old Fort Niagara, August 9 through 11, 1996. This event marks the anniversary of the formal ceding of the fort by the British Army to the United States Army in compliance with the terms of the treaty negotiated by John Jay of New York. This celebration is a tribute to the enduring relationship between the United States and Canada, our neighbor to the north. We are proud of our unique common bonds and the esprit de corps that have made this significant event possible. The period and military festivities are certain to capture the pageantry and excitement of an earlier age. All New Yorkers are indebted to the Old Fort Niagara Association for their extraordinary commitment to the preservation, interpretation, and operation of this landmark, which includes what is perhaps the Northeast's oldest structure located west of the Mohawk to survive from the colonial era. Old Fort Niagara has been a popular attraction for heritage tourism for over 60 years and has been under the jurisdiction of the State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for the past 30 years. The success of this state historic site has proven to be a boon to the economy of Niagara County and a primary means by which the military history of the region is brought vividly to life for 100,000 annual visitors to this dramatically situated fort overlooking the mouth of the Niagara River and Lake Ontario. Now, therefore, I, George E. Pataki, Governor of the State of New York, do hereby recognize the bicentennial salute to the forts and offer good wishes for a memorable weekend and special thanks to the citizens of both our countries who have given so much to make this historic site and its anniversary celebration successful realities. Signed August 8th, 1996, George E. Pataki, Governor of the State of New York. Thank you.
And friends all of Old Fort Niagara. This is a bit of a bittersweet moment for me. It's the last public appearance I will be making as Canadian Consul General in Buffalo. I'm returning to Ottawa shortly. But I was reminded just sitting here how I grew up as a boy in St. Catharines, Ontario. This was always a vision. This border was always a defining part of my culture, but not a barrier. And I congratulate all of the people at Old Fort Niagara who have worked so hard, not just for this weekend, but the whole. I speak from the heart to say our friendship is what you all make it, and you make it terrific. Thank you.
Honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here representing the United Kingdom, despite the fact that we came second on this occasion 200 years ago. But being the attaché in Washington, I'm quite used to speaking when we come second. I would like to add my congratulations to Brian Dunnigan and to Rob Mackenzie, because I know just how much hard work they've put into this marvelous occasion this afternoon, and I think they have done a really splendid job. So congratulations. I think it's absolutely right and proper that we should celebrate our heritage, and that's exactly what we're doing. This particular fort, as you've heard, was handed over by the British to the Americans. There was at that stage no bloodshed. We actually handed it over and we showed the layout, and then we departed. But it has a lot of significance in that it was really the defining stage of the boundary, the internation boundary between America and Canada. It also allowed the American troops here to get to know the Canadians very well. They had no one else to socialize with, for example, so they used to go across there and socialize with the people on that side. And I'm sure, in a way, that actually sets the sort of relationship between Canada and Britain and America that exists today. And I think that's very important. If I may, as a soldier, just make a couple of comments looking not backwards, but looking forwards and looking at the present time and looking forward. I'm immensely privileged to be the attaché in Washington. I keep very close to the most powerful army in the world. We, the Brits, have fought alongside the Americans on many occasions, most recently in the Gulf under their command, and also alongside them in Bosnia. I think our relationship with the American forces is as solid as a rock, and certainly you will not find a stronger ally than we in Great Britain. With my Canadian friends, we're in a slightly different position in that we, like the Canadians, are slightly smaller. We tend to operate very closely together, really at what we call the sharp end. And therefore you'll find Canadian troops under command of British troops and British troops under command of Canadian troops. I was delighted to read the other day that one of our units in Bosnia, the Queen's Own Hussars, has just been awarded the Canadian Field Unit Commendation for their work working with and under command of a Canadian brigade in Bosnia. Of course, the Queen's Own Hussars are delighted with that, because it's the first time, as I understand it, that that award has been made to a foreign unit. I think the point I'm making is that we, the British, are very, very comfortable with our American cousins and our Canadian cousins. We feel we're in very good company. Finally, if I could pass on greetings from all the contingent here from United Kingdom and from the people of United Kingdom on this marvelous bicentennial occasion. Thank you very much indeed.
The Canadian Consul. When Mark introduced me, he jested a bit about my 20-some years of service in Congress. In most of those years, Brian Dunnigan has been the executive director. It's inconceivable to me that we could ever have had a better executive director, and I'm very sad that he will be leaving because no one will be able to fill his shoes.
Engineering from Howard University. And then he graduated from Howard University's School of Law in 1968, cum laude. He then began establishing a great professional record of private military, and governmental service. It commenced with his acceptance of a federal judicial clerkship, a quite distinguished position, in the Southern District of New York. He went on to graduate with honors from the Army's Judge Advocate Officer Basic Course, served on active duty with the Office of the Assistant Secretary of the Army, and then joined the Justice Department. In a relatively short period of time, he became the General Counsel for the United States Department of the Navy, and then for the United States Department of Defense. Secretary West has also distinguished himself in the private sector. He practiced law with one of our country's most distinguished law firms, Covington & Burling, and became a managing partner of one of New York City's most distinguished law firms, Patterson, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler. He then went to the corporate world, where he became vice president of the Northrop Corporation, one of our Fortune 500. Beyond his obvious commitment to professionalism, it is evident that his legal, his political, and his military expertise and enthusiasm extends to his family as well. His wife, Gail, is with us today. Gail, I'd like you to stand briefly, please. Gail,
from what you heard, that we'd be all better off hearing from my family, either my wife or daughters, than from me. I don't blame you. I join you in that notion. I'm glad, Congressman, that you introduced Gail West. She allows me to bring to every one of you a note of reassurance. That reassurance is this. Whenever I'm about to speak, she says, remember, dear, no matter how important you think what you say is, the longer you speak, the less they will hear. So I'll try to keep that in mind. I'd also, if you would indulge me, like to also sound a note of recognition. We've already spoken quite a bit today about the importance of historic Fort Niagara and about all the efforts that have been undertaken to preserve it over these 200 years of its history. I want to say my thanks and my commendation as a citizen who's been allowed to come here and to enjoy this, to the historians and preservationists for over 2 centuries who have sought to preserve this, to those in the association, such as your association, who have worked so hard to make this and other national parks and other of Washington, D.C. This is a treat for us. And even as we have enjoyed it, our experience has been enhanced, as I suspect yours has, by the pageantry that we have been able to experience due to the professionalism of the military units that you see before you here wilting in the hot afternoon sun. I say to you and I say to them that from what they have shown us as they paraded onto the field and as they have stood there, it is obvious that they take pride in what they do and in their training. And in being here before us today, you honor us, even as you honor your branches of service, your countries, the states and provinces from which you come, and as you honor yourselves. Thank you. For more than 300 years, this spot here on the river has been a place of strategic, economic, now historic importance to the nations on either side of this border. It's been a place of beauty as well. Over that time, it has changed hands over and over again. From its origins in 1669, when a small band of French priests and explorers found themselves here, through the time in the mid-1750s during the colonial wars between Great Britain and France, through the time 200 years ago of the peaceful turnover, and of the events thereafter over the last 200 years, this has been a place to us, as Americans at least, a kind of northern outpost prized for its location, for the advantages of its location, and for its natural beauty. Starting with the French, and then to the Native Americans, and then to the British, and then back, and then to the Americans, and then back to the British, and back again to the Americans. This has been a highly prized location, just as popular as Fort George across the river. And it has stood, during that time, as a beacon to those around it, certainly in the early days of the frontier, where it represented the reassurance to the citizenry of this area of their government's willingness to protect them and of their government's interest in this area. And when 200 years ago, the relationship between those two countries. In 200 years, save for an interruption or two, it has largely proven to be the case. But here, at this spot, much that has affected this country and Canada's and the United States relationships has transpired in peaceful cooperation. Indeed, the frontiers of our nation and of all nations, soldiers and armies have always played an important role. For that reason, I am pleased to be here on behalf of the United States Army and all its components, active reserve and National Guard, and of all our armed forces to join in this celebration, this commemoration. But soldiers and armies alone have not played a significant role, as our nation's frontiers have developed. Indeed, it has been the citizenry, those who live in the region, whose contributions have been even more important. And in the case of Fort Niagara and the area around it,
This weekend proved to fall on the exact dates of the arrival of United States troops at Fort Niagara on the 10th of August of 1796, and the first display of the United States colors the following afternoon. We are going to next in our program ask the men of the 1st American Regiment to hoist a set of United States colors of the 15-star, 15-stripe flag that was first used at Fort Niagara in 1780. Came upon the expedient of adding a star and a stripe for each state to enter the Union. Thus, the first United States flag hoisted over Fort Niagara, eastern border, and 15 stripes. Representing the original 13 states, as well as Vermont. Gentlemen, we would also like to invite you to join the Niagara River. Our units are going to march off the field momentarily and insert.
Oh, what budget cuts will do. August the 11th, and the swearing-in ceremony.
Ceremony, you're going to have a distribution of the certificates. We're going to try to do this in as orderly a fashion as possible. I'll be calling you up individually by name, one at a time. There will be ushers located at any of your aisles. These ushers are representatives of the Immigration Service. We ask that you follow their instructions in coming up to receive your certificate. They will have you stand one row at a time, and then direct you to the end of the aisle, which is to your left. And as you're sitting there, take a look at the little seat assignment card you got at check-in, and make sure that matches the yellow seat banner, which is on the rear of your chair. Make sure everyone's card matches the yellow seat tag. We want to make sure everybody's in the right seat because we're going to be calling you up in an alphabetical order. Become a new citizen. Any new candidates for citizenship do not check in at the table in the tunnel. Anybody here with a certificate below the signature, make sure you sign it exactly. Here's on the certificate. We don't want you to print it. We want you to do signature pictures longhand style. Unless printing is your normal signature style. Now, a good guide to you is look at your picture. You want to sign the certificate in the same manner.
For the ceremony, I will be up in front at the table. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to help you go over the form if there's anything you're wondering about. Very important, I just wanted to let you know in case you don't come up later. It's very important to fill out as much of the form as you can. And at the end of it, it asks for your signature and the date that you filled it out. That's very important. That's some people usually forget to do. They always forget their signature. So just as they were saying on the other form that you have today, signatures are always really, really important. So I hope that you'll stop later after the ceremony if you have any questions. And again, congratulations on this very important day.
I just have to stroll it.
United States District Court for the Western District of New York is now in session. The Honorable Leslie G. Fascio presiding.
Please be seated. We try to simulate as much as possible how a group court proceeding works, even though we are doing it outdoors. At this time, I will call upon the 1st American Regiment to present the colors. The director is Stephen Sininger, and following that, he will be favored by a patriotic demonstration performed by the 1st Michigan Colonial Fife and Drum Corps, directed by Mark Oaks.
Dip way, no walls.
Run, Chris.
Fine way.
Right wheel! Forward! Right wheel! Forward. Right wheel! Forward! Come on, column in your eye to the left wheel! Forward! Coverage! Order! Reset! Hard!
If you have anything else after.
Alrighty. I want to get arms. On behalf, under civil direction, when required by law, and that I will take this obligation freely, without any reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations.
Participation in the greatest democracy on the face of the earth. God bless you all. If you could all rise at this time. States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Michigan Colonial Fife and Drum, who will perform the national anthem.
Arnold Cameron Earhart, Beatriz Lodowick Albarat,
Louis, stay there.
Evarista Carlisle Ambrose, Michael Joseph Antonelli, George Stasi Antonio, Ronald Arthur Babcock, Christina Barbara Bach, Francisco Julian